What's up, everybody? Back for another product overview video of some stuff we were sent. And while we're talking about people sending us stuff, let's just kind of get things out of the way first. Nissi asked us to review this product in trade to keep it. And while that's cool and all, we try to be as unbiased as possible, so we told them our review would list all the pros and cons that we felt were pros and cons. Speaking of the product, what we've got is Nissi's new Jetmag Pro magnetic filter system. So we're gonna dive into that here in just a little bit. But if you haven't been to our channel before, like, subscribe, check us out. We mainly just do a bunch of reviews in our spare time here at our rental shop here in Seattle, Washington, and we have a great time doing it and putting up what we call kind of educational stuff because we just do it for fun and we really enjoy doing it. So let's get right into the Nisi Jetmag Pro. What is it? Well, first off, it is a $650 system for the Cinema Kit, which is a magnetic filter system that comes in this handy dandy little pouch. And you know, what you're gonna get is some step-up rings for some various size of filter rings. It looks like 67 through 82. There's other strengths as well, 77. What is this? 82, 67, 77, and 72. Those are your four options. But let's just get right into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about here. It is this magnetic filter stack that, once done, has several different filters, all in a handy dandy little small kind of situation that you can just put right in your pocket and take with you to go. So what do you get in the filter stack? Well, you get a, what is it? A ND6, 9, 1.2, 1.8. You get a circular polarizer and a black mist 1/8, and then some front and back caps just to keep these safe. Now, how's the system work? Well, if you were to take one of your rings, we'll just grab whatever one here. What you're gonna do is take your filter. This right here is the Black Mist 1/8. Now this is all just magnetic and it clips right on. Pretty straightforward. There is a white line here. That is where your magnet is fully locked and engaged. Can't come off. You can stack all these up, hold your camera up from these little tabs. It's not gonna come off. As soon as you go to off the white, that is where now the magnet can be broken apart. This is much easier with a lens on, by the way. And then you can stack, switch, move, do whatever you want with the filters. Polarizer is nice that it can go around. You don't have to have them locked in place. The magnets are pretty strong. But as somebody who worries constantly about basically everything breaking at all times, I do like to lock these in, you know, as often as possible, but it's not necessary. Now, what are these great for? I mean, really, if you were doing a travel job and you just needed to pack light and you needed everything and your lenses worked with these size of filters, this is awesome. I mean, this is like literally just stick it in one little bag. You could carry it in your cup holder in your car. It's very tiny, and that is probably its biggest benefit. Moving on to other benefits, all of these are really great, and it's their new color science that they've worked into these filters. So all these NDs are very neutral, and the polarizer works really great. So if you're looking for color accuracy, I think these are gonna be a really solid choice as well. Now, the size does lend to some really fun things. If you're a dock shooter, you just want a small footprint. If you're running stuff on a gimbal and your camera doesn't have built-in ND, these are awesome. I mean, they weigh almost nothing, and they are easy to very quickly kind of, you know, stack. If you wanted to run 2 ND filters instead of 1 just to get a lot more, if you're, say, somebody likes to shoot at 2000 outside, works really well. And that's pretty much the overview of what these are really solid for. I mean, really they'll work for just about anything if you just want to be small, lightweight, and have something that doesn't cost a ton. Because I mean, if you look at something like even just a singular 4x565 matte box filter, you might be spending anywhere from, I don't know, $500 for a really good quality, you know, IRND or something that's really color neutral. It's a lot of money. You can almost get this whole filter set for the cost of one filter, and they're lightweight and they work pretty damn well, all things considered. Okay, so what we're gonna do, pretty straightforward. We're gonna go around our kind of like normal testing premises outside, you know, under very random lighting circumstances, and just kind of test these out. Things we wanna test out is what things look like when we stack ND filters, if that's color accurate, how much vignetting we get, you know, how a black mist 1/8 compares to not there at all, or something very standard like a black pro mist 1/8 that we're all kind of very used to that look, see how that does. Also just kind of generally check the polarizer. And then we're gonna jump back in and check out some tests in the studio, just kind of running, you know, these NDs versus some Tokina IR NDs, which I think are a very great set, and Black Pro Mist. So let's jump outside, get into the tests. All right, we're gonna start with this 1.8 ND, get that on. I just like getting these things lined up to the white line. The fact that if you don't have it all the way lined up that it could fall off worries me a little bit, so I'm gonna keep it on. But so far, after first look, the color looks pretty good, which is great for a 1.8 that's this small. Don't see a lot. I mean, we're shooting Raptor at full 8K and on a wide angle lens already, a 32 millimeter Cooke SP3. I'm not really seeing any vignetting happening from the filters, so that's pretty solid. Okay, let's go down here and see what happens if we kind of try to stack these filters. So I'm gonna try to add a N6 on top of this 1.8. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. It's just trying to find exactly where these are and get just a single one out. I know these are supposed to be like run and gun and do it yourself, but kind of changing these on the fly by yourself, it can be done, but it is a little bit tricky. So what I want to do is just kind of check and see if stacking these gives us any weird artifacts, or you know, if it affects the color really at all. Because 1.8, if you are somebody who likes to shoot at 2000 ISO outside and it's a sunny day, 1.8 isn't going to be enough, and you're going to have to stack these. So right off the bat, still don't see any vignetting, especially when we factor in we're now going 2 filters. Maybe a very minimal amount now that we've added a second up in the corners. And that's, you know, 2, 3, 5 to 1 is what we're shooting this stuff at. So it's all right. It's pretty good. The Cooks naturally vignette a little bit in the corners, but I mean, I think for the most part, the color looks really good. So that's totally solid. All right, let's go move down here and shoot a little bit of something else and kind of test with and without to kind of balance color. Okay, I'm back in the Nook. It's where we always shoot Galen a lot at the table. I really like this shot because we got a lot of depth. We got a lot of sky going on in frame, a lot of color and texture in some foreground. But in this shot, what I want to do is just test the filter stack versus no filter at all. So you're gonna see with the stack and without, and just test kind of color accuracy that we're seeing like in the tree color in the skies, and just see if those are pretty accurate. All right, we're back in one of our more normal spots. I really like this area because you get both reflections, some depth, some tree color, some sky, some deep shadows, and these string lights that kind of, you know, show you a few characteristics. But we're playing with the Black Mist 1/8, so probably something similar to like a Black Pro Mist, and we're just kind of testing out how much bloom we get in some of these lights, how much contrast that takes away. It seems pretty noticeable and significant, and you know, just the overall look. All right, we're still on this Black Mist, though this time I really want to test kind of a hard specular light. So made Galen pull out his phone, flashlight, just to really get an idea of how much bloom is happening in halation from like a specular light source. And we're just gonna show you that kind of with and without, back and forth, so you can see how much it's doing. Okay,
so after using this for a little bit, one thing that I am noticing that didn't really notice before is that they do have a color coding on them, so it does make them a little bit easier to identify right up front. I think the biggest thing that I have an issue with here is that if you have these lined up the same way, depending on which way, they're not the same on both sides of the filter. So if you're just looking down at your stack, you know, some of them just say Nisi Jetmag Pro and some of them have the label. So if you are trying to do this in a hurry, sometimes you got to spin stuff around or move things, which I feel like the more you handle these, the more likely you are to potentially drop them. But after seeing this and noticing this color coding, this does make it a little bit easier right off the bat. Dark gray are the caps, the blues are the NDs, the gold is the mist, and the silver is gonna be your polarizer. So I wanna test out this polar real quick. So I'm gonna take that off and we're just gonna slap this on and just kind of test, you know, how much we get in the skies, how much we get off of reflections on buildings and car windows to see kind of how good of a filter this is. So I'm just shooting on this CRV over here just to test the rear window since there's kind of double-sided reflections. Just gonna roll this around a bunch, just kind of see how much change we get and at what, you know, angle of incident, because that all makes a difference as well. And honestly, it's pretty good given what we've got to work with today weather-wise. Now I'm just gonna move a little bit and check one other thing. So moving over here, you know, we can see this Fremont Abbey sign has a little bit of reflection. If we really wanted to drop that down, it looks like we can, as well as there's a good amount of action happening in the sky and in the clouds that this does clean up a bit. Okay, so we finished up a lot of our little outdoor testing here. So now we're gonna go back into the shop and test these filters against some more standard ND filters to check color neutrality, as well as test it against some standard filtration like a black pro mist, just to see how they might vary. If you're used to black pro mist, is this different? Is it the same? Is it close? Is it not? That's what we wanna find out. So meet me back in the shop. So we're just gonna do a quick vignette test. We're on the Raptor 8K full frame 17:9, and we're just gonna start stacking filters and see where we start to get any sort of potential vignetting based on stacking. I know these are rated for full frame, but let's see what happens when we go even further. So 2, looking pretty good. This is Sigma 24. Actually, it's a 35-1.4. 3, still pretty clear out to the edges. I'm gonna get a little tricky now because we're starting to stack all the ND. So here's a 0.6 or 0.9. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're still looking really good. If this was outside, now we're starting to be a little bit underexposed in here, but if we were outside, I think this would be fine. This is gonna get pretty dark here, so I don't think we'll get to see too much, but yep, pretty dark. So I would say with 4 filters, you are going to pretty much be able to use whatever you want. That basically gives you the option to use a polarizer, 2 stacked NDs, and the mist, which is probably all you'd ever want to run without getting any vignetting, and that's even all the way out on the Raptor sensor, which is essentially as wide as even like the Fuji GFX sensors. Okay, those were all of our tests. Now, I told you we'd talk about pros and cons. I feel like just listening to me talk, probably already understand all the pros of this system. There's only one real con, and it's not so much a con as much as it's just inconvenient. So if you're working with several of these, you're trying to see them, actually, the biggest con that I have with these is that
they aren't all labeled the same. If you're looking here, you can see Jetmag Pro on one side and the indicator of what it is on the other. Then from there, if you spin it 180, then you get all your markings. And I feel like if these are just randomly taken, when you're going down, it's kind of hard to see what is what on both sides at all times and then try to sort through which one you need to get to. If your stack is in the middle, getting them all kind of unlined up to get your thing out that you need, I don't know, takes a little bit more time than I'd say I would hope it would take. That being said, if you're used to matte boxes already and you gotta go find a filter stack somewhere in your AC bag, pull the right one out, come back, take a filter tray out, put it in. I mean, this is no less inconvenient than that in any way, shape, or form. It's just a different type of inconvenience. They're small enough where you feel confident that you could change a filter with one hand holding your camera and the other one doing your filter, situation. And it just feels a little bit clunky when you are trying to do that. So best recommendation is just always set your camera down if you can. I think that's gonna be the safest route. Sometimes these little knurled knobs, kinda, you're spinning one and doing another. That's my only real negative aspect that I have with these. And it's not negative, it's just a convenience factor that pretty much all matte boxes and filtration have, unless they're built in. It's probably a little less convenient than a built-in filter cartridge, but these are probably better quality than most of those systems, and you can stack multiple on the lens, which is great. So, really like this product. It is really cool. It is super nice to be run and gun. If you're a creator, it's actually probably something we'll use around here a lot because they're just so quick and easy to slap on a lens and go shoot our little behind the scenes stuff and be super lightweight and really quick and nimble. So, really like these. This is a Nisi Jetmag Pro. They have quite a few versions of this, single filters, combination kits. There's one that's landscape, one that's cinema. Pricing, it's a little bit varied based on your kit. Probably the most expensive one they sell at $650 roughly. And it comes with a carrying case, which is really nice, and all of the filters, that you need. And that's it. That is the Nisi Jetmag Pro. And it's a cool little system. There's been other things like this on the market, and I think this is kind of a step in the right direction in terms of adding more flexibility, safety, and quality to the filters you're actually using. So with that, thanks a bunch for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.